You have just tapped into the Christian Life Coach Collective, and I'm your host, Laura Malone. I'm here to equip and encourage coaches in skills, business, personal life, and faith. I believe you're already 100% worthy and capable, and you're called for such a time as this. So let's get you walking it out with courage and confidence so you can be an amazing coach who sees transformation and great results in both your life and the lives around you. Let's get started. I think one of the hardest things to do as a coach, especially a new coach, is to learn how to hold space instead of filling it. Empty space feels uncomfortable. Like silence can kind of feel like you're not doing enough. Like you should be talking, you should be doing. Have you ever just sat still and did nothing and said nothing for like 10 minutes, even 5 minutes or one, right? It is like, I don't know, even watching somebody wrestle with what they're facing and you being quiet, can kind of feel like irresponsible. But here's the thing. That is our work to do as coaches. It's our discomfort. It's not theirs. So if you see a client going through something, your instinct might be to comfort or to teach or to fix. But a lot of times they need just peace and space, and they don't need a push. They need to get their true transformation from even having the pressure of experiencing what they're experiencing and nobody trying to comfort, teach, or fix, right? They don't always need somebody to relieve the pressure. And if you think about that for yourself, it's probably true. So holding space means being present without rescuing. And like I said, without feeling the need to comfort, teach, or fix everything. So you've probably heard this from 1,000 places if you are a coach for a while. If you are a new coach and you've been like scouring YouTube and Pinterest and everything for all things coaching, it's about being curious. I think sometimes the opposite of curiosity is, I'm not saying this is every time. I just think that from my personal experience of knowing me and working with clients and having 5 kids, there is this opposite side of curiosity that I kind of think I would call it control. If there was an opposite of curiosity. And if you think about that just from like the mental space, right? The way you're thinking about something. Do I need to control how this goes for my client, in my session, in my own life? Or can I just open up to being curious for my client, for my life, right? There's just I feel like those two things are connected, and I have to intentionally choose, do I want curiosity or do I want control? Which one is going to produce the kind of fruit that I want? I know that when I try to control a client session, control what they think or feel or do, or the results they get, it is never as fruitful as when I get curious. And when I model curiosity, it shows my clients how to get curious. So when I let go of the need to control how things go, and when I don't control the desire to think right, to feel good, and to do what I'm supposed to do to get expected results. Like all of those things feel like very control oriented. When I step into curiosity, it's like, what could I think? What's a new thought? What kind of thought would produce better results? What is it, possible that I can feel negative emotion and survive? Is it, just getting curious about thinking, feeling, doing, and creating results. It's so much more fruitful than the control way of things. So when we let the client's experience unfold, instead of controlling and steering it, saying, no, we need to take a left here. If we don't rush their process and we don't decide what their breakthrough should look like, instead we just kind of hold the container for them. Think of it like that. Like we're just holding a container and we're holding it steady. We're putting it on a strong foundation so they can meet God, so they can experience their thoughts and their paradigms, so they can feel their emotions like right now, real time, real life, real them showing up. It's really powerful. When we get curious and hold the container, then they have opportunity. There's more possibility, I think. So when the silent moments in a session start stretching, here's what you do. Take a big deep breath. Slowly let it out. And you don't have to be obvious about it to your client. But when you start feeling the discomfort, then you can recognize for yourself, I'm having trouble holding space for them right now. And maybe it's something going on inside of you in your own life where you're distracted by something going on in your office or in your world or in your brain. Well, take a big deep breath. Do some box breathing or breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 8, whatever you need to do. But that silence is so powerful if you'll allow it to rise to the surface. If they start crying, stay calm. Tears are like raw data. They're actually showing you that the client is getting honest, and it might be for the first time in their life or in this season or with somebody that they get honest. It's okay. Let your clients tell the truth, and you stay centered. Don't be pushed around by the negative emotion you might feel or the weird, like, oh no, what's going to happen? Did I do the wrong thing kind of thoughts? Don't get pushed around. Stay steady. Don't shrink back. Don't shut yourself down or withdraw if they're angry or frustrated. We talked about this in the last episode. Like when they start feeling emotions that are uncomfortable for you, hold space. Stay steady. Just keep curious and hold the container, right? And sometimes a client just doesn't get it. Like maybe there's a lot of times when a client is like, I'm not getting anything, or nothing, it comes to my mind, or I literally have no idea what to do, right? There's still a seed being planted somewhere, and you can't command insight. You can't command inspiration. You can't command momentum. You just have to hold space for those things to show up when they show up. And maybe it doesn't show up in a session, but again, we model for the clients the peace, the steadiness, the holding space. And then who knows if it's not 4 hours or 4 days later when they have an aha moment. That still applies to the seed that was planted in the coaching session. That's still okay. But if you try to comfort, teach, or fix, or rescue, right, any of those things, you might disturb the soil the seed needs to get planted in. So you being steady creates safety, and your restraint about the things that you're thinking, the things that you want to do or make happen, it actually gives more permission for them to be real there for themselves, to get honest, to experience and process for them, right? And that's the real work of transformation. It's this deeper side of coaching, the part that's not about just giving answers, but really creating an atmosphere, like an ecosystem, an environment where answers can be found. Right? You're trying to create a space where they can find out what is possible for themselves. So when we, as the coach, release control and we get curious and we trust the process, we trust the Holy Spirit to lead us, and to fill our mouths when we speak, to remember that transformation is something we're facilitating, we're guiding people into, we're not forcing or controlling. It's really powerful. That's all I can say. When you get more experience, it will become easier to hold space instead of what I call holding court. So you can consider those moments of holding court, like when your judgment does appear, when your opinions rise to the surface, when you start finding yourself controlling more than being curious, it's a little bit more like you might even get into your own head and start dealing with some comparison or competition with your client. That can happen. So we want to hold space, not hold court. And it's really important to recognize the difference between the two, because it will shift the atmosphere in the session and your client will feel it. So there is the side, I teach about being a consultant coach, where my clients hired me to be a consultant coach. So not every coaching session I do is about holding space for them to find the answers within themselves the whole session. We have moments of that, but it's a different goal that a client has when they hire a coach to just ask questions and never consult on direction. My clients often hire me to consult them on the direction that they're going in something that I have experience in, right? Building a business, even homeschooling, running a nonprofit, executive leadership, vision and strategy, becoming a coach, setting up coaching processes, building an offer, all of those things. And in the middle of those, while I'm consulting on some things, I will always stop and say, how's that feel to you right now? I see the look of disappointment on your face. What's going on? Let's back up a minute. Let's take some time. So they know that I mix the consultant side with the coaching, the business with the life, because everything falls under the umbrella of life. Relationships, business, health, confidence coaching, mindset coaching, it's all under the umbrella of life coaching. It's just dialing in on what somebody wants to work on. And then you coach and do that type of coaching specific to that topic. But it all falls under life. And that's my differentiating factor is the life umbrella versus the sports coach umbrella, where every sport falls under the sports umbrella and it's a different type of coaching. There's different goals, right? Under the life umbrella, the life coaching umbrella, we mix all of these things so that the results somebody wants to get that they might hire me to consult them on can be mixed with moments where we just hold space for what's within them to rise up. I get curious. We ask great questions. We follow what's going on inside of them for them, because they're ultimately the ones that have to change their paradigm to shift emotions so that they take different action to get the results they say they want to get. And ultimately, all of those things culminate in the legacy of who they want to be and the story they want to create. So there is this process of understanding the difference between when it's time to teach or advise or consult, because they hired you to do that. But if you were not hired to do any type of consulting in any direction, and they hired you to be a life coach, mindset coach, etc., with just wanting you to hold space and get curious and give them room to process, to find out what's already within them, that's what you need to do. And that's what we're talking about here, is in that entire session that they hired you to do this, the entire package or whatever they hired you to do, or even just in those moments between consulting, when it's important that you make room for that. As a consultant coach, it's important to notice what you're doing and what you're holding space for, and when it's appropriate for you to consult and advise and offer a drop-down list of options versus just be quiet and let them think. Let them feel. and then wait for them to have something to say, right? So there's time for that in the midst of everything. It doesn't matter what kind of coach you are. There's always time where it's important to hold yourself back and hold space without holding court. And let silence be there. It's so important, the silence. It's so, so powerful. In fact, I encourage you to take time and start doing a little bit of discomfort immersion. Put yourself in a position where normally you would fill that space with scrolling or talking or watching TV or making a phone call, and just sit in silence. Don't turn on any music, and give yourself the gift of finding out what 5 minutes of silence feels like. And give yourself the gift of finding out what 5 minutes of silence can do for somebody else who's in front of you. So, all right. I want you to be able to do this with hope and like being empowered and equipped, because there is, like I said, as a consultant coach, a place for offering perspective and strategy and your experience, like your story. That's part of the value of that. But I want you to feel empowered to offer direction in consulting, but to know how to draw out what's already there in the client that they don't need your experience for, and holding the space to make that happen. So when you mix up what's the direction that's inside of them and the direction that's within you, you start diluting both of them, right? So if you can keep them distinct and understand what's really going on, you become more effective at both. All right, so my challenge for this week is for you to notice one moment in a conversation or in a session when you want to jump in either too soon, or you want to jump in to bring comfort, but it's a little too fast. You want to jump in and fix something. You want to jump in and teach or advise. And I want you to just notice that that is something that you want to do. Then I want you to pause instead and see what happens when you let the other person sit with what they are talking about without you piping up and having something to say, right? And a simple prayer for you to pray is just, Holy Spirit, teach me to trust your timing. Keep me steady when I want to fix or teach or fill the silence. Show me how to be silent and hold space for it, and let your presence do what my words cannot. Okay, friends, your presence is really powerful. Your ability to model comfort in silence and process and permission is really powerful in the lives of the people in front of you. So have a great day. Talk to you next week. Thanks for listening. For more coaching resources and to learn how to work with me, head to sterlingandstonementoring.com or click the link in the show notes. Remember, walk boldly in your calling, and I'll talk to you next time.